Welcome to the Stacked Supplement Podcast, the premier source for supplement news and reviews.
We are finally back with another episode of the Stack Supplement Podcast, and firstly, I would like to apologize for the lack of episodes over the past couple of weeks. Thanksgiving was a busy time, and as with everyone, we scaled things back a bit around Thanksgiving, so the podcast was the one thing I guess we put to the side, but obviously the news kept coming, and last week I actually got sick, so you might hear a bit of nasaliness in my voice still, but I am all good. And as mentioned, I guess the best thing is whenever I'm sick or whenever things get in the way, we always do the news on the website. So if you've been following along, the stack.com website never takes a holiday. It is always bustling and always full of excitement. And these past couple of weeks were no different. And so first off, we're going to start this episode. We've got a few big topics we're going to cover. Instead of like a whole bunch, we're going to do maybe like 3 or 4 on the supplement new release side. And then we're going to do a few admin things. And we'll start with those admin things first, actually. The first of which is news on the Protein Wars. If you're a fan of Stacks, you'll know the Protein Wars is probably one of our longest running contests, I guess, where we take pretty much every protein powder in the market and we pit them against each other. We have a vote off, and it's a ladder style competition, a bracket competition, where we knock basically protein powders out until we come down to 2. Over the past 3 weeks, we have been running that contest for I think it's the 8th time overall, and we ended up with 4 brands in the semi-finals, with Arms Race Nutrition taking on Optimum Gold Standard and Jim Stoppani's Pro Gym taking on Newcomer Flow Protein Plus. To be honest, I thought the Optimum one, it was randomly generated, the finalists for the Optimum one versus Arms Race is quite interesting, as Julian Smith, one of the guys and main names behind Arms Race, he pointed out on Instagram that he was once sponsored by Optimum Nutrition. He was an ambassador, and so it was kind of a nice full circle moment for him to not only have his own brand but be against the truly the gold standard, or the legacy brand that's Optimum Nutrition with gold standard Whey. And we're in the grand final now. This week it is the grand final, and the grand finalists are Arms Race Nutrition, who managed to really pull an upset and knock out Optimum Nutrition. And between Jim Stoppani and Flow Protein Plus, the Gym Army truly pulled through and took it out pretty strongly. So it is Arms Race Nutrition Foundation taking on Jim Stoppani's Pro Gym in the grand final. I think it's going to be an interesting one. It's a newcomer really taking on a well-established and as I've mentioned many times before, Jim Stoppani's brand, Jim, I don't think it gets enough credit for the transparency and the push in that transparent direction that it brought into the market. There were transparent products around before Jim came along. NutriBio, obviously one of the most notables. But it wasn't really until Jim came onto the scene and started pushing the information education onto his followers, his Gym Army. That's when I guess other brands started coming on board and started making the changes and understanding that people wanted transparency, as it was finally communicated, I guess, well, in a broad spectrum, in a mainstream way that many people could understand from Jim Stoppani. And it was an interesting time. Even I myself was wondering where all these sort of transparent comments were coming from. I knew about it, but it was interesting seeing all the comments come from all these different angles. And then that's when I heard all about pre-gym and post-gym, and actually I think it was just pre-gym was when I don't think they had another one at that time, and other brands just basically followed suit, and now transparency is the majority. Back then it was far from it, but now it's what you have to do, I guess, to compete. And so it's cool to see Jim Stoppani and Pro Gym up there. They've been in the mix over the years. They've been quarterfinalists. I don't think they've been semi-finalists. Optimum, another one that's been, I think they've made it to the semi-finals 1 year. Arms Race Nutrition obviously only launched last year, so it's no surprise they've never been in the running. And Flow Protein Plus was also relatively new. So the latter definitely produced some interesting finalists this year, and it's some interesting battles. But yeah, we're going to be crowning a new champion. Neither of these guys have been to the finals before, not that I can remember. And it's going to be an interesting outcome. I'm going for both equally as much. The gym army is strong, but Julian Smith and the crew at Arms Race have a huge following and a huge bunch of fans. So yeah, as always, if you want to get your votes in, head over to proteinwars.com. You can vote once per round, and you do have to verify your vote. We introduced that system this year, where basically you can submit one vote rather than every day, and you need to verify that vote. So I'll ask you to enter your email. You put your email in, then you'll get sent an email, and it'll say, "Is this your vote?" You click yes, and then your vote will be counted. If you don't complete that process, your vote will simply not be counted. It won't even register, as far as I know, and it won't even come through in the total. So you do need to go to your email and verify. Otherwise, it won't count. And the other admin we have to talk about, and I'm probably going to let loose a few tidbits and secrets here, but we have the Brand of the Year Awards. Another thing we've been doing for an incredibly long time is our Brand of the Year Awards. I'm trying to remember. I think we've done just as many Protein Awards as we have Brand of the Year Awards. It was only last year, however, we made it basically a whole awards kind of thing. Previously, we just had Supplement Brand of the Year. And then last year we introduced subcategories, including Functional Brand of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, and International Brand of the Year. So this year the second time we're doing these little subcategories, and last year proved to be quite intense, having all those categories and announcing them at the same time, especially since we'd previously only been used to doing the one award, the Big Brand of the Year award. And so this year we're basically spreading it out across December. So the past few weeks we announced the nominees for International Brand of the Year. That included Naughty Boy Supplement Needs, the UK retailer / brand, Rockin' Nutrition out of Germany, Trained by JP Nutrition from Jordan Peters, and the international giant MyProtein. We also included a few notable mentions. They were basically sort of our nod to companies that did, I guess, follow the guidelines, not necessarily the guidelines, but they did things that stood out to us just as well as these nominees, but not necessarily on that higher level that these guys were doing. And the consistency, which is one of the big factors for us, is did the brand consistently deliver exciting, interesting, creative supplements from the start of the year to the finish. And some of those brands we gave the nod to included Switch Nutrition, CNP, Body Lab out of Denmark, and USN from South Africa. So it was a pretty interesting bunch of brands this year, to be honest. Last year it was Evolve Nutrition out of South Africa that took it. But the winner this year are those 5 nominees that I mentioned: Supplement Needs, Rockin' Nutrition, Trained by JP, MyProtein, and Naughty Boy. Was indeed Naughty Boy. They had an incredible year. They just filled it with a huge amount of releases, pumping things out. It's, to be honest, the level of consistency and output that these guys had was just second to none. Was phenomenal. Even not just for a new brand, but international brand, it was impressive. And I don't want to be me, like that. International brands behind. That's not really what I'm saying. International brands don't usually have that high level of consistency and output that you get from US brands. And this year that kind of changed. The balance shifted. There were international brands pumping out more products than a lot of the US ones. And Naughty Boy was one of them. They were just non-stop. Hence why they took home the International Brand of the Year award. And then just this past week, we did our Newcomer of the Year award, which was taken home by Chemix last year. And this one, I don't want to be rude or anything, but it was a pretty obvious who was going to take this one. If you've been following Stack, you'll know that Got7 has been in the headlines, arguably, I don't even know, maybe more than any other brand out there right now. They featured almost every week or two. They were launching, teasing, releasing every week or two. They had something fun. They had something exciting. And they just rose to a level that we had never seen a company in its first year do. people are asking, are they classed as Newcomer? Yes. So our Newcomer of the Year award, basically, it's the most impressive brand that that hit the market in the past year, and we do include like the end of last year, so November or December, basically. The reason we do that is because if the company wasn't included in the Newcomer of the Year award by being released in the November and December, that would mean that they would need to be considered for the Newcomer of the Year for the year prior, which they would have only been around for a month. So to basically make it fair, if they were launched in the last couple months of the year prior, they are carried forward. And I believe that was the case with Chemix. They were quite close to that mark anyway. But yeah, it was undeniable. We had a few other big brands, impressive brands in that list of nominees. There were 4 we nominated. There was HD Muscle out of Canada, Naughty Boy again, making it the first brand that's ever been nominated for 2 categories. As far as I know, there weren't 2 last year. And Vayu out of Germany, which was a very impressive company. Eye-catching branding designs, great-looking products. And yeah, Got7 took it out. And so for the next 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, I think, we have 2 categories left to announce for our Brand of the Year awards, and I'm just going to go, as a bit of a sneak peek, I'm going to throw out the nominees for Functional Brand of the Year. I don't believe it's been announced until Wednesday, so you're going to get a sneak peek from tuning on in this episode, and the nominees for that are Bear Bells, the Swedish functional company, Outright, who was the winner of our Functional Brand of the Year award last year, Bomba, the Russian brand, and Skinny Food Co., who has also had an incredible year from the UK. We'll be following that up with our overall Brand of the Year, which is the one that we've been running for, I'm pretty sure, 8 years now. We've only had 1 brand repeat the title. That was, of course, Redcon 1. But yeah, that we'll be nominating 3 brands, I believe, potentially 4. One of those is Got7. Someone asked me if they were going to be in Brand of the Year because they just won Newcomer of the Year, and they will be. They are one of the 3 or 4 nominated. I say 3 or 4 because we're still a little bit undecided, and we've got 2 to 3 weeks before we announce the nominees for that, so I don't need to be pressured too much on that one. But it's going to be an intense battle. I think this last month might be a decider, might not. It's pretty vague, but we always take pride in these awards, and they are purely judged on us here at Stack. This isn't something that we take votes on. This is just something that if we liked what they did that year, they win Brand of the Year. If they did better than anyone else, then that's who we go with. There's nothing more, nothing less. So it's going to be a fun award. The Functional Brand Award should be a good one too. But yeah, you can stay tuned. We'll be announcing the nominees for the Functional one that I just confirmed anyway on Wednesday, then announcing the winner the following Monday. Then I believe we're doing the nominees for Overall Brand of the Year that Wednesday, but we're not going to be announcing them until 2 weeks later. I don't think we might even be announcing the nominees a little later than that, just because it's going to tie up with Christmas, and we want to make sure the people who are nominated and given the nod and win the title get the attention they deserve. But now that we have all of the admin side of things out of the way, we're going to burst into the stories, and there is like I said, it's mostly just big topics from companies. We're going to kick it off with news from Got7 Nutrition, who is a German functional company, which we absolutely adore and love. Every product they've done is amazing. Every product we've had of theirs is delicious, whether it be high protein snacks or even just a more lower sugar alternative. They make amazing stuff. And then this past couple of weeks, they kind of burst out with just a mountain of things. Started in like late November, where they did new flavors of their dessert premium sauce. This was something they have premium sauce with, just, I guess, more sort of your mainstream sauces for foods and whatnot. It's kind of like a tastier, not so low calorie but still low calorie sauce that goes a little more for that premium flavor, with like still very small amount of calories, like just still almost zero, but not zero, if you get what I'm saying. So they basically tried to walk the line of something that tasted really good with a little bit of calories rather than absolutely no calories kind of thing. But yeah, they introduced dessert flavors for this sauce. I believe it was last year for Black Friday, they'd had Cocoa Dream, Strawberry, and Caramel. This year they've done 2 more dessert flavors because, as mentioned, they were originally just mainstream flavors for the premium sauce. There was Cocoa Cinnamon and Salted Caramel, so quite different from their other more traditional tastes. But that was just one of the products that they dropped. They followed that up with I don't know, you might have seen it from Metrics. My Protein did one. I'm pretty sure the Skinny Food Co. did one as well. It's basically a pot of chocolate, low-calorie chocolate spread with breadsticks. And basically you dip the breadsticks in the spread, and it's just basically a delicious on-the-go snack. Metrics' one was amazing. The Skinny Food Co.'s one I've heard is amazing. And now Got7 has done one with the macros being pretty much the same as the My Protein one. In the whole tub of spread and sticks, you get 9.6 grams of protein, 22 carb, 3.2 sugar, 16 fat, and 256 calories. On top of that, so as mentioned, Got7 pretty much went on a streak. They had the new sauce flavors, the little dip-in spread snack, which is called Protein Spread and Stick. We then got 2 blocks of chocolate, which are basically no added sugar, solid, blocks of chocolate basically filled with nuts as well. So there was two flavors. Both of them are milk chocolate, but one is milk hazelnut and one is milk almond. Obviously, they have almonds and hazelnuts in the chocolate itself, and the macros on them are I think it's a 75 gram block, has around 6 grams of protein, 28 fat, 38 carbs, and just 4.5 grams of sugar. So the idea behind these isn't necessarily to be a high protein snack, kind of like a protein bar or a protein shake. These are basically intended as sort of like low sugar alternatives. As you know, if you feel like you want to treat, whether you want to have something tasty, I don't know, you want to treat yourself to like a block of chocolate, this would be much better, basically. I've had these before. There are a couple of them in Europe, and they taste amazing. They taste like the real thing. The problem is you have to understand that they're low sugar treats. They're not high protein treats or low calorie treats. They're basically intended to be a better version while still tasting good. So they are very high in calories. Not as high as a regular block of chocolate, but they're definitely not your go-to lean snack. Got7 had the milk almond and then the milk hazelnut. Then there was also another nut-based snack, which is basically, I believe it is a nut, like a ball snack, like a snack ball treat, sort of like a real food. They're kind of like the energy ball things. I don't really know what to refer to them as. It's kind of like the outright bar, but in a ball. You see a lot of them in mainstream supermarkets and stuff. Basically, just little snack balls to have on the go, made with real food ingredients. Got7 came out with basically their version of it. They're called protein balls. One is made with hazelnuts and one is made with peanuts. Obviously, it's a indication on their flavor. But again, they are like traditional snack balls, energy balls. They're made with just real food ingredients, little bite-sized balls, dates, oats, cocoa, and whey isolate to give them a high protein count. So these, unlike the blocks of chocolate, these are high protein snacks that come with 20 grams. So the balls themselves are 20 grams. In each of those balls, you get around 2.5 to 3 grams of protein, and around 2.3 to 2.9 grams of fat, 10 grams of carbs, and a calorie count of 78. So they are, basically a more high protein snack compared to the balls. The blocks of chocolate to have on the go. And lastly, Got7 Nutrition, as mentioned, they just went nuts. This is something they typically do around events. They did it last year for FIBO. They did it for Black Friday, if I'm not mistaken, last year as well. They tend to drop a lot at once. If I remember correctly, it was 2 years ago at FIBO, or maybe 3. They did I think it was 10 products. I'm trying to remember. Was it 10 including flavors? It was a lot. They do this a lot, and so this kind of last spree isn't surprising, but still surprising because of the different things they dropped. But the last one they did was a satay sauce, which is something they already had available for their premium sauce. It's like a satay sauce flavor, but what they did is they put it into a little plastic cup packaging instead of a squeeze bottle. They put it into like a square plastic cup. And the idea, from what I understand, is that satay is typically a kind of like used as a dipping sauce, whether it be for snacks, meat, whatever. So I guess Got7 Nutrition wanted to play into that, I guess, instead of selling the bottle and you pouring it into a little plastic container. They've now done it for you, and they're selling them their low-calorie, low-sugar satay sauce in little plastic pots, and they are smaller than the bottle, so the value of these isn't as good as buying the premium satay sauce in that squeeze top bottle, but it's I guess more convenient, and it's very cheap as well. It's like €2, so $2.30, $2.40 US dollars. It's very cheap. Great to have access to, and great little idea, I guess, to spin off on the satay sauce. Next up, we are going to, before we actually head into the US news, where I guess all the action went down, we're going to cover Barebells Holiday Puffs, which is the most recent flavor Barebells launched for their signature protein bar. Now, their signature protein bar is still our number one rated protein bar on our list of top 5 protein bars. It has held that spot for I can't think, it's like 2, 3, maybe even 4 years. We created their list. They got the top spot as soon as we tried them. And so, yeah, this year they released another Christmas flavor. They did it last year, they did it the year before. And on each occasion, Barebells turned that limited edition Christmas flavor into a permanent part on its, so a staple flavor on its menu. I think it was last year was the year before was the dark chocolate mint, which is absolutely amazing. And then last year was Christmas fudge, which I think turned into crunchy fudge. I didn't like that one as much as the mint, but this year's one is called Holiday Puffs, and holy shit. We didn't do a full review on it, but we did get our hands on it. We did try it, and definitely, if you can get your hands on this one, is one of the best flavors Barebells has put out in, I would say, since that dark mint chocolate, but I would even say this one's better. They just nail the hell out of it. It's very much like a Milky Way. It's got a very sweet, not necessarily caramel, but nougat kind of tastiness to it. The chocolate pops. The main center, the main doughy body feels like softer than any of the other Barebells protein bars. And then you got the crispy pieces around the outside that just add a whole nother texture and crunchiness to it. It's one of the best flavors from Barebells we've tried in quite some time, and definitely one you need to try. As far as I know, it's limited to Europe at the moment. I haven't seen it show up. Might even be limited to Sweden. I haven't seen it show up outside of that. But I have high hopes because I think this is better than last year's one, and I think it's better than the mint dark chocolate. I almost guarantee, I can't guarantee, but I'm almost certain they're going to keep this on board after Christmas, purely because it's better than the ones that they have kept on for Christmas, and it's just that good. But yeah, if you can get your hands on that, we shared like a mini review on the site, which you can read up on. But now we move to the big stories. Then the first one we have is coming from Ghost. So they launched their Christmas edition protein powders. This is something they've done for a couple of years now. I think they started back in maybe 2018. They did their first ever Christmas edition protein powders. It's basically limited edition flavors of Ghost Whey protein powder. They feature a cool little ugly sweater design. They introduced, I think it was Snickerdoodle and white chocolate peppermint bark back in 2018. They had them back last year. They're not bringing them back this year. Instead, they're doing 2 entirely new Christmas edition flavors of Ghost Whey, both of which are now available. If you actually go to GNC, we posted this on the site. If you go to GNC, you can buy both. None of them are available on Ghost's website just yet. They're actually first at GNC. You can grab both of them. One's more expensive than the other. One's $40, one's $30. But if you go there now, you can take advantage of a deal where it's buy one, get one half price. So you can buy the $40 one and get the $30 one for $15, which works out to like $27.50 a piece. Sorry, yes, that's right. 40, half 30, yeah, 55. So then half 55, $27.50 each. But as for what the flavors are, there's a frosted sugar cookie flavor of Ghost Whey, which is slightly higher in calories than some of its original, more straightforward flavors. It's a lot like Nutter Butter, but it has real sugar cookie pieces and sprinkles in the powder. You still get 25 grams of protein, but it is, again, slightly higher other macros, giving it 150 calories. And then you have the other one, isn't necessarily a flavor, more of like a concept. It's a hot cocoa mix Ghost Whey. And what it is it's basically a hot chocolate flavor of Ghost Whey that can be turned into, it is a flavor of Ghost Whey that is intended to be served as a hot chocolate. So you can heat it up, mix it with hot water, basically serve it like a hot chocolate, but it's high in protein. It's not as lean as other flavors of Ghost Whey, even compared to the frosted sugar cookie. It's 20 grams of protein per serve, so less than that 25. And the calories are 130. So calories are around the usual Ghost Whey, I guess. I don't know all the numbers off the top of my head, but the calories are around the similar, but you get less protein at 20 and the carbs 7. I think we mentioned this on the previous episodes, but you can now buy it and get your hands on it in a tub of 15 servings. And as mentioned at GNC, if you go over there now, you can get both of those. The hot chocolate is the cheaper one, which makes sense as it has a slightly smaller tub size, packing 15 servings, and then you have the frosted sugar cookie, which is the regular price of Ghost Whey at $40. And yeah, you have until the end of December to get in on that deal, that buy one get one half price. And these are limited editions. And being Ghost, I wouldn't be surprised if they sell out. So if you want to get your hands on it, I would suggest not waiting until the end of the month to closer to when that deal is. I suggest getting in sooner rather than later. The last story we have, and this is going to round out the episode, is news on an all-new brand. It is from, it's a collaboration basically, but it's from Mr. Olympia Brand Curry. He's teamed up with Mark Loblana to launch his own brand, which they do make a point of how you say this brand. It's written as O15 Nutrition, which you may think 15. It's intended to be pronounced O15 Nutrition, even though it's written as the letter O, the numbers 15, and you may just think 15. But it's they made it clear it's O15 Nutrition, and yeah, it's a company that's, I guess, themed and shaped around Brandon Curry, who is the reigning Mr. Olympia, and set to step on stage in the coming weeks at this year's Mr. Olympia, going down in Orlando. I'm pretty sure it's Orlando rather than Vegas, and he'll be taking on an intense amount of competition, especially with Phil Heath stepping back on stage for the first time in a couple of years. But yeah, so O15 Nutrition is launching. Well, it's launched now. You can grab it at Tiger Fitness. They launched with a protein bar. It's an outright style bar, so it's got that whole food nut butter base. However, the macros on this thing is insane. It pretty much not necessarily dwarfs, but it's pretty much like an oversized outright bar. You get 24 to, I think it goes as high as 27 grams of protein. So there's two different flavors. I'm trying to remember what they are: fruity cereal and birthday cake. One of them is slightly higher than the other in terms of protein. The carbohydrates are 42 grams, 42 to 43, with 31 to 38 of that sugar. Then it's 20 to 24 grams of fat, and the calories are at 460 to 480. Now, this isn't one of the most calorie-dense protein bars I've seen, but it is damn up there. As I mentioned, I think it's a 100-gram bar. It is a 100-gram bar, so it's basically just a beefy outright bar. If you scaled the outright bar up to 100 grams, you'd probably be looking at the same kind of macros. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure they'll be close. But yeah, it is definitely a more on the higher calorie side. I wouldn't be grabbing this if you were one of the people who felt the outright bar's carbs are too high. This thing is just a supersized version. You do get more protein, but yeah, the higher calories and carbs come with it. And while that is the first product O15 Nutrition and Brandon Curry have launched, there are going to be supplements. So it is a supplement company, and there will be supplements. I think they've said that there are going to be 4 in total, none of which are available just yet, but there will be 4 in total The first one that's due to hit between now and Christmas, I think it's even meant to be around the Olympia, is Exalt, which is a stimulant pre-workout. And then there's going to be a protein powder called Big Hydro, which is a Whey Hydro, a hydrolyzed whey protein powder. Then there's going to be the probiotic Happy Guts, and then a stimulant-free pump pre-workout called Expansion, which will be able to be stacked with Exalt. So you'll be able to take the two together for add some pumps to the stimulant pre-workout. So they're going to be hitting, I guess, a lot of the mainstream categories right out of the gate: protein pre-workout, stimulant pre-workout, stimulant-free pre-workout, and protein bar. And then obviously, as mentioned, probiotic Happy Guts, which I thought was quite a surprising inclusion. You don't really see newcomers hitting probiotics right out of the gate, but a fun inclusion, a fun addition, to say the least. You can check out the the protein bar from O15 Nutrition, I should say, is called Big O. You can check that out on the site. As mentioned, it's now available at Tiger Fitness. I believe it's available in boxes of 9, which does sound like a bit shocking, because usually you buy them in 12s, but obviously this is a 100 gram bar, so I can understand why they wanted to put less than the usual 12. But that box of 9 still costs the same as the box of 12 outright bars at $24.99. So you're basically paying the same, just getting slightly fewer protein bars. It is available now at Tiger Fitness. As mentioned, the pre-workout Exalt is due to release between now and Christmas. And then the other supplements, from what I know, are due to launch in January. So they're not that far away either. All of them are going to be exclusively introduced through Tiger Fitness. From what I read, they are offering like distribution to other retailers if they want to pick it up. But so pretty exciting news, pretty big announcement. It's not often you see a Mr. Olympia launch his own brand. I mean, we've also got Ronnie Coleman. Phil Heath has obviously got his one as well, but you definitely don't see them as many as you see new brands coming on board. But makes sense, since there are only 15 Mr. Olympias, which, as I said, that is the idea behind the name of Brandon Curry's brand. But you can check it out, get a closer look, find out more on the website stack.com. But thank you for tuning into this episode. As mentioned, we had a lot to get through, and I apologize for missing out on the last couple of episodes. But we look forward to having you tune in again next week. And